Welcome to another empowering episode of the No Limits Life podcast, where healing meets purpose and wellness becomes a way of life. I'm Nordine, your host, and my co-host, Ken. Today's guest is a dedicated healthcare professional who brings compassion, science, and personal experience to the forefront of medicine. Joining us today is Dr. Brian Burnett, DNP, FNPC, just want to make sure I say that, a board-certified nurse practitioner, founder of the Low T Clinic and partner at Surgical Wound Care Associates. With over 20 years of experience in hospital, emergency, and clinical care, Dr. Burnett brings a depth of knowledge and heart that few can match. His journey into healthcare began with caring for loved ones, and today he leads with that same spirit in every patient interaction. From hormone optimization to advanced wound care, he's helping people regain energy, vitality, and hope. Brian and his wife moved to Tucson during the COVID-19 crisis and quickly made it home, drawn in by the city's beauty and sense of connection. Please welcome a devoted healer and innovator in men's health and chronic care, Dr. Brian Burnett.
Hello. Very nice to meet you, Nordine, and thank you for having me on your show and giving me the opportunity to tell you all my story and my journey.
Can I call you Brian?
Of course you can.
Okay, because I do respect the hard work in becoming a doctor. So, Brian, welcome. Let's start with today's quote. When purpose meets compassion, healing becomes a calling, not just a career. How does this reflect your journey into medicine, and what drives you today?
My journey into medicine really started with caring with my loved ones. My grandfather, he was my mentor growing up. I was fortunate at an earlier point in my life to be able to take care of him while he got sick and was getting treated for cancer. So much when I came home, I at the time owned a separate business. I was actually doing ADT franchises, but it was under the security link from Ameritech, but most people don't know that. I literally came home and said, I think I'm doing the wrong thing. And I went back to school and became an RN and pursued my career. RN became DNP and led me here. So I think my real passion is just starting from not only helping my grandfather when he was sick, but also my personal journey. When I was 47 years old, I was very much overweight, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I was going down the wrong road. And as a hospitalist at that time, trying to tell people how to live better, it kind of felt like I was contradicting my own belief system by not taking care of myself in my journey. I had a life-changing event that really drove me to get back into shape. I started exercising, dieting, but I quickly learned that wasn't enough. I just wasn't making the gains that I thought I should. At the guidance of a colleague of mine who was an orthopedic surgeon, he's like, maybe you do need to get your hormone levels checked, right? So I did just that, came back. I found that I had low testosterone. I started on hormone optimization with a medical clinic in Knoxville, Tennessee. And within about 14 months, I literally went from about 270 pounds to 207. I went from a 42-inch waist to a 33-inch waist, and I literally just saw my life transform. I gained my confidence back. I gained my energy back. I gained my sex drive back. All those things that I just thought I had chalked up to the aging process. Knowing if I can do it, and I'm the world's greatest procrastinator, I quickly learned if I can do this, I need to share this. I want to do this so much that I hounded the clinic that I was working for, teach me this medicine or I will go figure it out myself. I was very fortunate that they were growing and they brought me on. They taught me it, and here we are today.
You know, this is an amazing story, and the content of your story and your journey is not only one that is to tell the world about, because so many men out there, and women for that matter, have that predicament, which is low testosterone or a hormone imbalance. But I want to dig deep inside of your heart.
Yes.
Okay, because content is incredible, but context is even better.
Yes.
I want to go back to that place where you said you took care of your grandpa and you wanted to be in the healthcare.
Correct.
How old were you then?
I was 33 years old at that time.
Okay. So what made you, what did you feel inside your heart? And again, it's more of something that people need to understand how we feel, not so much what we think at that moment.
Right.
What made you want not only help your grandpa, but help so many others. Because I'm convinced that's the second when you made that choice is
Correct.
what led you to today.
I can remember that moment. It took place in Virginia Beach, where my grandfather lived. Again, he, lifetime coal miner, lifetime tobacco user, smoked his pipe, developed bone cancer. Mm-hmm. He was walking down the hall and his leg just shattered under the pressure of his own weight. Mm-hmm. I was taking him to his radiation therapy treatments, his chemotherapy treatments, and what it was a home health nurse. And I'll never forget this moment, but I remember thinking I was being very postured up and defensive about this guy better take really good care of my grandpa, or this person, I should say. It turns out that when I opened the door, there was a man standing there with the home health agency. He probably was in the neighborhood of 6'4", 250. And I'm like, well, I better hope he takes care, because that's a big human being. He was so kind, so gentle. And he cared for my grandfather like I cared for my grandfather.
That's the moment when you decided.
That's when I said, I'm chasing dollars and I'm not happy. Man, I want to do what he's doing, because his passion was so rich. His enthusiasm for helping sick people, it was
an energy that you feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I wanted to get out of you.
No.
Because it's all good to talk about the things we do, which is great. But the things we feel are those things that make us who we truly are and make us love what we do that much better.
Oh, yeah. Life-changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you worked in, for years, hospitals and emergency rooms. So how did you decide to go with this hormone optimization? What inspired you to do that?
My personal journey. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I went through a life-changing event. After 20 years of marriage, I suddenly found myself divorced, overweight, not taking care of myself. And so I knew that I was going back on the market, and nobody was wanting this as the package. I was like, I'm going on the Dollar General discount aisle, bottom shelf, $1 clearance sale. And a lot of it was fear initially, but then when I started dieting and exercising, I just wasn't seeing, I felt better, I looked better, but not for the work I was putting in. And again, a colleague of mine said, go get it tested. Once I started on hormone optimization, and it took me a while, it was about 14 weeks where I really started feeling better. But again, at 14 months, my life had transformed.
On average, sorry to interrupt, but on average, how long does it take the average person to feel results when they start the process of hormone replacement therapy?
That is a great question. If you look at the American Neurological Association guidelines for hormone optimization, they say don't really evaluate efficacy to about month 6. My personal experience based on subjective history is typically weeks 6 to 8. And I always try to really communicate, because when guys come to you and they're seeking this, they're in desperation mode, a lot of them. They don't know what is going on.
Is that a long time? I mean, is that a long time for the average guy? Because I know for me, if I get a shot, I want it to work like now.
Correct.
So how do you get them to wait 6 to 8 weeks?
Education.
Okay.
When you sit down with a consultation, you need to tell them what has to happen, but not just take this shot for 6 to 8 weeks and then come back and see me. That's not the way it works. You have to educate them. It's not just about getting a testosterone shot. It's knowing what it does in the body. It knows sex hormone binding globulins that are going to eat it up. You have how much luteinizing hormone are you secreting to stimulate testosterone production? If you're on T, probably not enough, right? Or you just have essential hypogonadism. But then we have cortisol, the stress hormone that will bind with testosterone, albumin, a partial red blood cell in the vasculature that binds with hormone. So you have to saturate all those hormones and all these other things that love and have a high affinity for testosterone. Once you get that in saturation, then you can now allow that testosterone that is called total testosterone to convert to what we call free testosterone. And that is the bioavailable testosterone that gives us what we think of when we think of being a male.
So at your clinic, how do you know if the person needs it or not? Is it what tests?
Blood work. So
blood work.
Yeah, we do a comprehensive lab panel based on the American Neurological Association guidelines for hormone optimization.
Do you do it right there at the office?
Yes. We have 2 clinics. One we send out to LabCorp really soon. Within the next month, we'll be doing the lab draws at both offices.
Dr. Burnett is far more than a doctor. He's a human being, and he's here to share with us what made his success and the success of so many. So,
Yeah.
yes, there is a legitimate need for hormone, testosterone. That's, I think, at the discretion of their own doctors, who are going to make that decision.
Correct.
I wanted to really make sure that you said something that is not only important but crucial for people that are listening and watching. When you said, I realized that I was heavy, I was unhappy, I was divorced. That's just the story of so many millions of people out there. But
Right.
this, again, is content. I've seen people being transformed by just meeting somebody else who loved them for who they were, not who they looked like or not for their physique. And that led the people, I've seen people meeting a woman who was overweight or the opposite. They helped them get to where they wanted to be.
Sure.
Physically in shape, but that was achievement, satisfaction. But the love was before all that stuff. They loved each other not because of the body or anything else, but the love led them to do the things, aka eat properly, aka work out, readjust their hormones, all of these things, all this content we're talking about. So, yes, you can meet somebody and love somebody for who you are and who they are. And that, to me, is true success in love. So I want you to get back there where you said, I was overweight, unhappy, and there's something else in there that you didn't say.
The question is, did I love myself? And the answer is no, I did not. I was that kid growing up that I would go do something and just have immediate success. And, one of my mother's favorite expressions is, even as today, she's like, oh, that's so Brian. Like, I just had this different path, right? And I thought, okay, the world's my oyster. And then I quickly found out that it was not. And I had fallen out of love with myself. I would look at other people going...
Fallen out of love of yourself.
Yeah. And I quickly learned is that, if you're going to love someone, you have to love yourself first. You have to have the confidence, the wherewithal to pick yourself up, to truly be able to love someone else. And the greatest analogy is, I love when you get on the airplane and the oxygen mask drop, and what do they say? Put it on yourself, then put it on your child or your elderly. So,
you know how many people are listening to this now and saying, well, that sounds corny, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
If you help people, you can keep on helping people, and you deplete yourself from energy, you can no longer help them.
No.
Exactly. So that's the true definition of being selfish, is when you give too much of you and forgetting about yourself, neglecting yourself. That's the definition of selfishness. But what do you see in the Merriam Dictionary? The definition of selfishness is giving too much to yourself, not enough to others, right?
Correct.
So that is at the core of this conversation. When you mentioned, I was heavy, divorced, blah, blah, but at the core, there was that I wanted you to say. The love for yourself was no longer there. When it was there, how did you feel? And how did you feel when it wasn't there anymore? What happened that made it go away? Actually, you disconnected from it because it was still there. The love for yourself was still there. We just disconnect from that.
Correct. You lose sight of yourself.
Exactly.
You start focusing on the wrong things. We start putting values in the wrong places. And until you value yourself and all of us, a spiritual, emotional, and physical, that
harmony,
can you truly learn to love. And I do want to say something, that this is actually a statistic, and it's actually frightening, but when you have people who get stuck caring for their parents or a sibling, there's studies that show that the care provider neglects themselves to such an egregious extent, they will basically pass away sooner than the person they were caring for. That's how strong of an impact that neglecting yourself can take on yourself.
Absolutely.
Personally, from a toll and from a life perspective, right?
We are talking about harmony between, not balance.
Right.
Because balance is something you get and something you lose. Harmony is something you correct.
Yeah.
Okay? You adjust along the way. So creating that harmony between the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual aspect of your life is what we're talking about. This great content, which is driven and fueled by something else, which is we call context. I want you to talk about that. What is it that fuels your passion?
I think now for me is seeing the lives of my patients change, results. And Danny and I have plenty, Danny, my wife, we have plenty of great stories about when I first started this. I mean, my patients got my cell phone, okay? And I was like, you have any issues, any concerns, you call me. And then every now and then I would get this text of a guy in front of a mirror posing with his shirt. I was like, wait a second. And they're like, thank you so much, Dr. B. I can't believe you. Oh my gosh, you're the best. And you know, Danny would just smile. She goes, wait, what kind of clinic are we running again? So it was really fun to see these people, like you see their lives change. But on a more serious note, when they come in day to day and you see a patient that has lost 70 pounds, and you don't even really, you're like, hey, are you new to the clinic? They're like, hey, me, Dr. B, it's me. And they're just, you've seen their lives transform. I mean, yes, Danny will tell you, I will get teary-eyed in front of my patients.
It's the connection. It's the connection we build between human beings. And that starts way before we even talk to the person. So you look fantastic. Okay, you're 54?
54.
54. You look amazing. You know, handsome, tall, and built. When
I agree
you
with
walk,
that statement.
When you walk anywhere, when you walk in the store, when you walk anywhere, even when your patient meets you, before you say a word, you have developed that connection. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you imagine somebody coming out of the doctor's office, and the doctor said, "You need to lose 100 pounds, and if you don't, you know, it's going to be dangerous for your health." And that person comes out of the doctor, she or he was told that they need to lose 100 pounds. That person is completely, because she doesn't have the direction on how to do that. She sees you, or if it's a man, sees you, and what he sees, it's what he aspires to become. You have inspired that person without saying a word. Now that person sees that possibility. When you see possibility, that becomes reality. Not only you are able to heal, treat people, mm-hmm. but before even you do that, you connect with them on a complete different level, which is that spiritual level, that energy exchange.
Right.
That's what I'm saying to people before we even help anyone. If we emulate what we are seeking to give, if we represent health, then we give health without even saying a word. What I'm trying to say is that you have to walk the talk. Too many people out there who, whether they are in the medical world or personal trainers or whatever, unfortunately, don't model that. They don't wear that mask before they give it to their patients, right?
I agree, yeah.
And so what do you say to those people out there who are in the healthcare, in the fitness industry, who are not showing integrity? Because you can know a lot of things, but if you're not doing those things yourself, it's pointless. Would you say?
Absolutely. And I could speak as from a hospitalist perspective, you know, we kind of get ourselves right back into that mantra where we're taking care of others so much we neglect ourselves, especially with the healthcare crisis shortage we have. You know, it's more difficult to find primary care providers, specialists, and a lot of the providers out there are basically, they're working nonstop. And again, what do we talk about? We neglect ourselves to help others. So I would say find yourself again, love yourself again, and put yourself and your health first. And through doing that, you're going to see that transformation, and your patients are going to see the transformation and believe in the transformation as you've just spoke to.
And then creating that harmony.
Harmony,
okay,
yes.
Mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual of one's being When you mention these people working themselves to death,
Yes.
okay, how can you help someone else when you depleted of the very thing that helps them get back on track, which is energy? If you have energy, no, you don't have energy, you have nothing. We are 80% energy, 20% blah blah, right?
Physiological, yeah.
Exactly. So this is the important thing. Know what you know, deliver with doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. Only then would people trust you. And that's what you're delivering, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that. I mean, you have to have conviction. If you're in a line of medicine that doesn't make you happy, you need to find that line that does. And I like what you said about balance versus harmony. Balance is work. Balance is shifting, moving, flexing.
Oh, yeah, you get a phone call.
Harmony is an ebb and flow that basically when you achieve that, it becomes, it's not work anymore. It's effortless, it's enjoyment, and it's, spiritually, it's very rewarding.
Absolutely. And I think exactly that's what we're looking for, that harmony. And on that note, I think, Ken, you have one last question?
Just a quick one for you. You kind of already touched on this, but what now, because we heard about your past, but today, what's the most rewarding part or rewarding thing that you get out of doing what you do now?
When my patients break down and they cry tears of joy, or they're like, I have to give you a hug, that to me is the validation. I mean, we've had journeys and stories where people have come in and they're like, and some of my favorite ones are even when spouses of patients come to see me going, I wasn't really for this. You gave my husband his life back. I can't keep up with him anymore, and now please give me the life you've given him. Mm-hmm. That to me is the biggest honor I can get. It's also, I take that very personally, and I take it as my responsibility to deliver. And again, because it's my passion, it's easy to deliver on.
Yeah, the delivery comes from that harmony.
Yes.
If you're missing one, you're missing all. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And
thank you for letting me.
I should mention
share time
that
with you.
your wife is in the studio. She's emulating from positive energy. Thank you for being here.
And I would be remiss saying that none of this happens without her guidance, her love, her passion, and her brains and her zest for. She's the business mind.
Behind every powerful man, there is an even more powerful woman.
There she is right there.
That's an amen on this right here. I
on
can
this
say that.
note, here's a book, my current book.
Oh, thank
for
you.
you.
Thank you.
Your wonderful wife, Danny. And hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. I'd love to be on your show. It's been a privilege to be here and sit with everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity to tell my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burnett.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Brian, we loved having you here. So for our viewers, listeners, please remember, if you enjoyed what you got to hear or see here today, like, share, or subscribe. And we enjoyed being here with you today. So see you soon.